Today we are learning all about modal verbs with teacher Therese, who is our guest today, a very, very special guest, and she's going to be teaching us all about these wonderful words called modal verbs. So I'm going to keep my part short and sweet and hand over the hard work to her. So, hi Therese.
Hello there, Kirsten. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Very happy to be here today and very excited.
I'm sure this is your first hangout.
It truly is so. A little bit of a hiccup there in the beginning, but I'm sure I will get better at it.
You will definitely. Practice makes perfect, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can use that as an example to our students.
So we can. Okay, like as you said, we are doing modal verbs today. Um, I actually had my teenage son said to me today, please quickly explain it to me again. So, yes, we all have to learn modal verbs, eh?
Sadly, but yeah, unfortunately we have to. Not much we can do. They form part of the English vocabulary, so we do what we have to do.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go to the class.
Okay, we're going to open up now. Let's just click there. And off you go. Can you see everything?
I can still see your inbox or my inbox.
Oh, oh dear.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
quickly
Okay.
close.
Quickly. Well, it's okay.
But it's fine. It says here, let's look at modals, and it was the email I sent to you.
Yes, it was, luckily. Oopsie daisy.
Like we said,
Okay,
we are all still learning a little bit here, hey?
absolutely. It's definitely not as easy as it's
Yeah,
made out to
teaching
be.
English has become very, I want to say interesting, but for me, it's been quite a learning curve to learn all the new tech and everything. It's a daily learning thing for me, you know.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's very, very interesting to see through the years how the teaching profession is actually developed and how we use new methods of teaching. It is just absolutely amazing.
It is. It's fantastic. I mean, nowadays
Yeah,
people can just learn from the comfort of their homes, from their office. What more do you
they can do
need?
and things like that. And yes, I think we did discuss it, Kirsten. We're going to do the minute lunch break sessions as well. That is on a maps for our students if they want to quickly take a coffee break. That would be nice for them as well.
Absolutely. Hey, absolutely. I'm just having a look here very quickly. It's now sharing the presentation, but it's not as the PDF, it's as the actual presentation. Oh dear. I tell you what. I think
Okay.
that let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. I'm just going to maybe what you should do then, let's speak about the modal verbs from your notes. Are
Okay.
you able to share your screen at all? If you go into the or have a look at the top and the second button, you see it's green with a little arrow.
Okay.
Do you see that there?
Um, yeah. screen share for Hangouts. No, start screen share. I can't at this stage.
Not okay. Okay. Yeah, because ours it's doing that, that presentation.
Oh, the one, not the show.
It's the act, yeah, it's doing the actual show. So I'm unable to click on the share screen because it's the show.
Oh, understood. Okay, well, let's just speak about um, let's just speak about it in general. It is a pity, but like I said, for me, it's a complete learning curve at this stage. Um, and I'm still learning how to do all these wonderful, wonderful things. So today we are going to talk about let's learn modal verbs. Now, modal verbs, what are they? Uh, and how do we use them? So we have different types of modal verbs. We have modals of probability, ability, obligation, and advice, of permission and of habits. Now, this sounds like a mouthful, and this is quite a long lesson, so we must probably have to break it somewhere and carry on in another session. There is a lot to learn here. Okay, now if we look at modal verbs, what are they called and what do they do? Modal verbs are also called auxiliaries, and they are a type of a helping verb. Now, in English, we get 10 modal verbs. We get can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must, and ought to. Now, sometimes when I speak to my son Colin, um, I would say, "Oh, I should have done that, or I could have done that, or I would have done that." And he always said, "Don't coulda, shoulda, woulda me more." So these are, that's just an expression in English, uh, meaning I wish I should have, could have, or would have, but it's no use to wish for anything like that. Okay, what is the definition of a modal verb? Now, Kirsten, what would, if you had to describe to our students what the definition of a modal verb is, how would you put it, sort of?
Good question to raise. For me personally, a modal verb shows how urgent something how urgent something is. Like I must or I have to. Of course, showing that it's something that is very necessary. Things
Absolutely.
like that.
Yeah. So, like I said, the woulda, shoulda, coulda thing is
Yeah.
a modal verb is so is a verb that adds information about something, about another condition, maybe. It can express a mood, for instance. So I can go there, but should I go there? Or no, I must go there. So we can say that modal sort of expresses a mood. Yes, Kirsten?
No,
Are you?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
But I
So that is
agree.
a
I
basic.
agree completely. Hmm.
Yeah. Now, um, our most useful modals and their most common meanings. Now, as you know, we get can, which can express an ability. I can speak a little Russian. Then we get can to request permission. Can I open the window? And then may and must. May to express possibility. I may be home late. Or may to request permission. May I sit down, please? And must to express obligation. I must go now. Or must to express strong belief. She must be over 19 years old. Then, of course, our should and our woulds. Just hold on for me, Kirsten. Would you take over for a moment here?
I most certainly can. All right. So, should and would. How do we use these? Well, what should you do? You should be here learning English. So, what are we doing? We are making a suggestion, providing some form of advice.
There you go. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, so should is to give advice, would is most probably to offer advice as well. And sometimes, if you feel sorry about something, you would use it. If I were you, I would say, um, okay, let's just carry on a little bit here.
Mhm.
Now, in a statement, the word order would be subject plus modal plus main verb. So, subject would be they, modal can, main verb come, or Mike should walk. That is in a statement. In questions, the word order changes a bit. So we get modal plus subject plus main verb. Um, can they come? Should Mike drive? And then, of course, we've got our WH questions. When can they come? And how could he know? Now, Kirsten, a lot of students ask about the WH questions, and as you can see in a lot of lessons that I've done, I bring these WH questions in quite often.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Absolutely. Mhm.
yeah, it is quite important for the native English speaker. The WH questions, of course, come quite naturally, but for non-native speakers, it is sometimes the word order changes, and it can be quite confusing.
It can, definitely. And it's so important to know these WH questions because we use them in our everyday life, work, personal life, everywhere. What do we do?
Absolutely.
When?
Yeah.
How? Where? It's
Yes. And of course, the one that always fascinates me that they bring into the WH questions, uh, the how, that also fits in there by your WH questions.
I know it's confusing, right?
I know, but I think our students sometimes really do get very confused. Okay, then the modals must and can are substitute verbs to express obligation or ability in the different tenses. Let's just look at some examples of tenses here for past tense. I couldn't or wasn't able to walk until I was 3 years old. In the present perfect, I haven't been able to solve this problem. Can you help? For future, I'm not sure I will be able to come to your party. And in the infinitive, I would love to be able to play the piano. So yeah, these are just a couple of examples, and we'll most probably have Q&A afterwards, and anybody can ask questions. You can contact us if you need anything. Okay, Kirsten, we are now going to that very meaty part of the lessons where we are going to discuss the modals of probability and ability, um,
Lovely.
and so forth.
Mhm.
So we get modals of probability, ability, obligation, and advice, and of habits.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm sure our students will love this. Yeah.
Okay, firstly, modals of probability. Now, when do we use this? First, they can be used when we want to say how sure we are that something has happened, is happening, or will happen. We often call these modals of deduction, speculation, certainty, or probability. Now, to give an example, it's snowing, so it must be very cold outside. Or, I don't know where John is. He could have missed the train. So these are probabilities or speculation. Modals of probability. Modals of ability. Here we use can and could to talk about a skill or an ability. For example, she can speak 6 languages, and my father could play golf very well. And of course, uh, I can't drive. Short and sweet there.
Me too, don't worry.
I can drive, I just don't have license. I should have gone for my license.
You should
I
have.
would have been able to drive my car now.
Well, that's what you've got a
Okay.
wonderful son for. So, yeah.
Yes, he is wonderful, and I must admit, he spoils me. He drives me all over Port Elizabeth. So it's not an obligation for him going to modals of obligation. It's not that he must do it. I could say maybe he should do it because I'm his mother.
I
Modals of
think so.
obligation and advice.
Don't let him hear you say that, though.
um, well, he is facilitating today, so, but I'm sure he'll be home soon. Um, okay, so let's carry on. Modals of obligation and advice. Kirsten, I don't know how we are standing on time, so you could give me a heads up when we've got like 3 minutes left over, maybe, so we can say goodbye or whatever.
Perfect, no problem. We've still
Okay,
got a little while.
good. Okay, so let's go to modals of obligation and advice. We can use verbs such as must or should to say when something is necessary or unnecessary, or simply just to give advice. Children must do their homework. We have to wear a uniform at work. Or advice, you should stop smoking. I see a lot of people use this modal of advice. Um, you should stop smoking, or you should stop uh, working so hard, maybe. Another one. And then, of course, we go to permission. We can use verbs such as can, could, and may to ask for and to give permission. We also use modal verbs to say something is not allowed. For example, could I leave early today, please? Or you may not use the car tonight, talking about cars and driving. And can we swim in the lake? So that is that for obligation, advice, and permission. Then
Absolutely
the last
beautiful.
one, it
Hmm.
is lovely.
It
I'm
is.
sorry we couldn't share the screen with everybody, but we will get there. So, of habits, we can use will and would to talk about habits or things we usually do or did in the past. For example, when I lived in Italy, we would often eat in a restaurant next to my flat. Or you can just say, John will always be late. So it's sort of an indicator of um, habits. I don't have to explain habits. It's something you do on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Okay, then we have certain basic rules when it comes to modal verbs. Verbs are very special verbs which behave very differently from normal verbs. Here are some important differences. Modal verbs do not take the S in third person. He can speak Chinese. Uh, she should be here by 9 o'clock. Okay, rule 2. You use not to make modal verbs negative even in the present or the simple past. He should not be late. They might not come to the party. Basic rule 3. Many modal verbs cannot be used in the past or future tenses. You can't say he will can go with us. She musted studied very hard. That is quite incorrect. Okay. Now, remember we said that could indicates an opinion. We could go see a movie, but then again, should we? We could become a doctor, but would we? The modal could is also used to form the conditional. The conditional contains an if clause as a result clause. Could is placed in the result clause. If I had time, I could play tennis with you, or we could study together if you want to. Could have mentioned something that didn't happen because a certain condition was not met. If we had left sooner, we could have taken the train. And if I'm glad we took umbrellas, we could have got wet. Modals with shall or will plus the main verb are used to create future tenses. These modals indicate an intention or an action that is expressed in the future. I will close the door for you. Now, very interesting fact here. When used in statements, there's no difference in meaning between these two modals. However, shall is rarely used in American English, and that's basically the only difference we get here. So I could say, I will close the door for you, or I shall close the door for you. It's immaterial really which one you use there. Or they will or shall leave tomorrow at 8 o'clock. In the WH questions, shall and will asks about opinions. Who will drive the car? Or when will I see you again? So it's basically in WH questions, opinions will be asked for. Then in the yes and no questions, shall and will have completely different meanings again. Will is for asking a favor. Will you turn off the TV, please? Or it can ask for information or knowledge. Will Tom ever pay you back? Shall asks about preference. In these examples, should and should are synonymous. In American English again, shall is rarely ever used. Should I close the door? Shall I close the door? When it is, it's only in the first person singular or plural. Well, I know we have shared a lot of information here. And I'm sure Kirsten wants to say something as well. I don't want to do all of the talking here today. Yes, over to you, Kirsten.
It was lovely, very, very insightful. I'm certain that our students are going to find this lesson on modal verbs very interesting. And of course, yes, there is still a lot more to learn about modal verbs. So please, everybody, keep your eyes open for the next lesson on modal verbs, where our dear teacher Therese will continue with her beautiful lesson. So yeah, we have run out of time for today, but please everyone, take a look at our Google Plus page, take a look at our Facebook page and our blog as well. So yeah, we're both very new to this whole technological side of things. So, we want to thank everyone for just your support and for all your recommendations. Please keep them coming.
Yes, I must admit, Kirsten, I'm very excited um, about all of this. I think Fundi's is doing wonderfully. I think we're doing very, very well, and I'm looking forward to the next lesson. Okay,
Absolutely.
goodbye for now.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. And well, we'll see you next week.
Bye bye, everyone.